Why is it that some people quickly build high six-figure or even seven-figure businesses? Others do some deals and maybe make 10 or 20 grand a month. And others, well, they just never even get off the mark. To answer this question, we need to understand the entrepreneurial mindset. Entrepreneurs think differently. They act faster and they take more educated risks than the average person. Today on the Land.MBA podcast, David and I are going to talk about 7 qualities that give entrepreneurs an unfair advantage in the land business. If there's one thing I've learned in my business career, it's that I don't have all the answers. Look, I'm an ambitious guy, and I like to make progress fast. The secret to achieving success fast is to harness the brain power of other people in the community. That's what the Land.MBA Smart Bar is all about. As veteran investor Jesse Marchand said, the Smart Bar gave me the motivation and knowledge I needed to push through the tough times and accelerate my path to success. 7-figure investor Mitch Milan likes to say, there's one meeting each week that I never miss. It's the Land.MBA Smart Bar. It's like happy hour with my land investing buddies. I always learn something. So if you want to network with like-minded people, make new friends, learn heaps, get questions answered, answer questions for others, learn new strategies, get accountability, and overall get inspired while having a great time, check out the Land.MBA Smart Bar. For a short time, podcast listeners can get 20% off the annual plan, which comes to an insane $86 per month. Compare this to other programs which charge $250 a month or more. This is hands down the best deal you're going to find and the best way to invest in your success. So don't wait. Please go to land.mba/mastermind. That's land.mba/mastermind and use promo code podcast22 to join today. Hello, all you gorgeous entrepreneurial land investors. I am Howard Zonder, and this is my partner in crime, David Van Steenkist, and this is the Land.MBA podcast. So happy that you could join us today. We got a really cool topic today. Over the course of time, David and I have spoken to not only thousands of land investors, but thousands of people who've wanted to get in land investing, many who have not done it. And so we were talking about this earlier today and said, why is it that there are certain people that just are so amazingly successful and other people who talk about it and study it, but don't actually do anything? And so the answer that we came up with was about what is entrepreneurship and how does it affect our ability to succeed in the land business. So of all these people that we've spoken to, I would say that 99.999% of them have to get past 2 milestones before they get started in the business. I had to get past them. David had to get past them. Everybody has to get past them. The first question is, do I believe in this business? And if the answer is yes, then we get to the second milestone, which is actually a much higher hurdle to overcome, which is, do I believe in myself enough that I believe I can succeed in this business? And when we started, it was a whole different ballgame because there just wasn't that much content out there. But nowadays, there are a lot of people in the business. There are lots of podcasts, lots of blogs, lots of information out there, and lots of real world examples of people that have been interviewed that you can pretty much determine that, wow, this is the real deal. These are real people, and they are really making it happen in the land business. So it should be, at least at an intellectual level, relatively easy to get past the first hurdle to say, I believe in the business. However, that said, there are some people who will say, I don't really believe it until I've done a deal or two, and then I'll know that it works. And then I'll make some investments in terms of education and training and mastermind groups and the things that will help me progress in the business. I got to tell you, that just is hilarious to me. That is sort of like a doctor who says, you know what? I'm going to do a couple surgeries and make sure this works. And if I like the way it goes, then I think I'll make the commitment and go to medical school.
Right.
It is completely backwards. That is not how you do it. If you believe in something, you make the investment and you go do it. But a lot of times what's happening is people are saying, well, I don't believe in the business, but that what they really mean by that is I don't believe in myself. The business, I think I think it works. There's clearly people who are making it work, but I'm not sure I can make it work. And so getting to that level of self-belief is a really important hurdle that has to be overcome. And when you do that, then people jump in and they start succeeding. They don't necessarily approach it exactly the same way. Entrepreneurs are still a little bit different in how they approach it, but at least they can get started. So that's sort of the background of what it takes to get going in this business. So the question is, I think, Dave, what are the qualities that real entrepreneurs bring to the land business that enables them to achieve 6, 7, 8-figure incomes? What is it that they're doing differently that the average person is not?
Well, I think we're going to talk about several items that parallel and tie into this. Belief is a key. Believing in yourself and believing in the business and in the business model. And we talk about mindset a lot, right? So that really comes down to mindset and the mindset of an entrepreneur, and it's developed, right? We're not born entrepreneurs. We come into life, we get an education, we get a job, and then we decide we want to be an entrepreneur. Some people go straight into entrepreneurship, but there's a journey, there's a process. And as we start having more experience, maybe we make a mistake, we recover from it, but we start having some success, and that builds our belief, our faith in ourselves, our mindset. And, first of all, getting to a point where you believe in the model to try it, maybe you got to hang around a little bit. I love your point about, the doctor saying, well, let me do a couple surgeries first and before I invest in my education. That's a shocker to grab people's attention. It's a little bit extreme, but it's a good analogy. I think certainly if I'm brand new, I haven't been an entrepreneur before, but I want to, and I'm looking for a side hustle, a business that I can sink my teeth into. Maybe I like real estate. I've listened to Bigger Pockets, and I've listened to and read other books, maybe Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and things like that. And I'm on the front end of my journey. Well, should I flip houses? Should I buy rental houses? Or, boy, this land thing looks kind of cool. And then you start investigating, and it's smart to investigate, listen to podcasts, read books, get some social proof, right? And like you said earlier, there's a lot more content out. There's a lot of podcasts. So either we're all full of shit, just trying to sell coaching and BS everybody. And we're one and done, all right, yeah, you bought our course. Yeah, we're done with you. Or there's some truth to it, and so you have to do your investigation. But yeah, going out and saying, let's go buy some properties without getting the proper, at least, education, and hopefully mentorship, because that certainly saves you that helps hack your success. That's crazy. So the entrepreneur comes into it. When I came in, I'll just use myself for an example. And I'm still growing in my entrepreneurial abilities and whatnot, but I had been flipping houses for a couple of years, and I had some success and some failures, but it was really easy. Once I did a little bit of investigation, it was much easier for me to believe in the model, and maybe not necessarily go all in right away, but to be able to do a test, get a little bit of education, do some test mailers. And it wasn't a big stretch for me to spend a little bit of money on marketing and buy and sell some land. But somebody who's never done any of it, that's a bigger stretch for them. That's a bigger stretch for their belief, for their mindset. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Really, it's more about themselves because they've never done it before.
And yet, the entrepreneurs don't have that problem, because some of the most successful students we've had came out of Amazon businesses, or we had a guy who had a jewelry business. There are a lot of different businesses that had nothing to do with real estate. But what they did to a person is they went and they investigated. Okay, what am I going to do next? Because God knows I'm not going corporate. So what am I going to do next? And they did a discovery of different business models that they thought would be interesting. And however they got there, they learned about land. And then they dug into it and they said, let me understand this business a little bit. And I would strongly, in that first milestone of do I believe in the business, the way to approach that is understand deeply the business model. And you can learn a lot of that just by listening to these podcasts and just reading blogs. You don't need to know how to do the business to understand the business model. And then question everything. So that what you want to do is you want to shoot holes in the business model. What do I think is either bullshit or a bad assumption, or there's no way that's the outcome, or whatever it is. Figure out how to shoot holes in it. And if you can't, that's a pretty good indicator that it's going to be a pretty good business model. Take house flipping as an example. I mean, house flipping it's not that it's not a good business model, but when you look at it and you look at it in the context of the housing market, and which has ups and downs, then you say, all right, what's the level of effort? What are the things that people struggle with most about it? What's the risk level I have to take on a per deal basis? What do I have to, what's my learning curve? It's, it's the financing, and it's the how to find and choose contractors, and how to manage those contractors to make sure they don't take me to the bank. So what does it actually take to succeed? And then, okay, now I'm going to look at that next to land. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to say, what's my learning curve? What are the key things I've got to learn? How hard is it going to be to get me from here to where I need to be successful? And do I believe that the market will continue to sustain it? And if the answer is I can't shoot a hole in it, then that's a pretty good indicator it's a good business model.
Yeah, absolutely. And, certainly, that's the beginning, the starter, getting their beliefs up in the, you got the business model. Then of course you have risk tolerance. That's something that an entrepreneur has developed if, they've done another business before. The risk tolerance part is huge. I mean, that's why, I can look at myself, for example. It was very easy for me to, pull the trigger on, investing a little bit of money on doing a mail campaign and taking a course. So that's getting started. Now, we're talking about why are entrepreneurs why do they tend to be more successful, or at least start out more successful? They have a quicker ramp up period in this business than somebody maybe that doesn't have an entrepreneurial background. Part of that is also vision and adaptability, being able to see where this can go and being able to extrapolate out and build a plan and a vision for where, they think they can take this. Resiliency is another thing, because we can all talk about our experience. Yeah, great business. Those of us in it who've been successful, we've all made a lot of money at this business, but not all the time. We go through slow periods, we go down periods, we go through, skunky mailers that return squat. Everybody does. If you're an entrepreneur, you go through good times and bad times. So, you've got to have that resiliency to be able to, bounce back, maintain your vision, keep your mindset. Yeah,
or figure something new out, new aspect to the business. Yeah, all those.
exactly. Exactly.
The thing that you mentioned that I want to just go in a little deeper on is this whole idea of risk. I've said many times about there's this huge difference between being an entrepreneur and being entrepreneurial,
Mm-hmm.
and the difference is your willingness to take on risk. So you can have all of those kind of qualities that you're talking about. You can have the vision, and you can have creativity, and you can have adaptability and focus and all these things, and you can build big businesses. But if you're not willing to take on risk, you're probably doing it on somebody else's dime, and they're going to reap the big rewards, and you're just going to be an employee making it happen. The people who go out there and make the big bucks are the ones who start the businesses and do it on their own, and that's because they're willing to take on the risk. And I've been both in my time. I've been entrepreneurial in a big corporation, and I've been an entrepreneur, and I've worked with people who are just amazing entrepreneurs. And what I've noticed across the board is that from their perspective, they're not really taking on risk. Risk would mean that it might not work out. But
Right.
what I've seen in a lot of entrepreneurs is that they are so confident in their abilities that it just doesn't feel all that risky. But that's because they approach it differently. A person who is kind of adverse to risk goes in and says, I have to know everything so that I can mitigate all the risk. And so they want to learn everything before they get started. Whereas the entrepreneur says, I know I don't know anything. And but I do know that I can either figure it out or find the right people or find the right resources to make it happen, no matter what the problem is. My job is to be the conductor of the orchestra, not the player.
That's right.
And so they go in there as like a sponge. They don't go in there as a knowledge base. They go in there as a sponge. When we get on our mastermind, we've been running the Smart Bar for over 5 years now, and I can tell you, the people who ask the most questions are the entrepreneurs, who are also some of the smartest people on the call, but they're not going in and just expounding about all their brilliance. They're going in and asking question after question after question, and they're always trying to fill in the blanks. And no matter where they are, they never feel like they've gotten there yet, because they've always got the next goal and the next goal. And but whether they're going to be successful is never in doubt. It's just the path and how fast it's going to take.
Yeah, exactly. And you hit the nail on the head. Some people just die by analysis paralysis. Um, and the one thing that they've got to learn, that entrepreneurs maybe have a little bit of step ahead of people who haven't been an entrepreneur yet, and that is understanding, this book, Who
Yeah.
Not How. Like what you said, you have the confidence that it's like, no, let's just take action. Let's start moving forward. Let's get a little foundation of knowledge so we can take action, and then we start taking action, and we learn by doing. And then as we go along, we get stopped, and we either have to find a way to figure it out, and that many times is a who. Sometimes who is Mr. Google, but
Yeah.
sometimes who is a mentor or just somebody who you're networking with. And that's another key point that we talk about, is networking. And you talk about the Smart Bar. I mean, how many success stories have we heard from people who have just interacted on there and then had a call offline and helped each other, partnered, whatever. So you either figure out how, or you figure out who. And a lot of times the how comes with the who. Somebody teaches you, or you figure out who to outsource something to. And part of the quality of an entrepreneur is understanding that I shouldn't be, I can't be the expert at everything, nor should I be. I need to figure out what I'm pretty good at and what I enjoy, and become excellent at those things. And the things that I suck at and hate, I got to figure out how to outsource those or who to outsource
Right.
it to.
Right. Just a thought just occurred to me is that the average person versus the entrepreneur, certainly in our experience in the land business, they ask two fundamentally different questions. The average person says, what is it going to take for me to get to success? The entrepreneur says, what is it going to take for me to get to success faster?
Yeah.
That's the fact that they're going to get to success is not in question. Their goal, the reason that they ask all those questions, the reason that they're working so hard and sucking up all the knowledge is so that they want to get there faster.
Yeah. You're always in hack mode. How do I hack my success? How do I get there faster? And,
Well, I was just gonna say one of our students who, I mean, a lot of our students epitomize all these things, but one of them that just stands out for me is Lucas King. That guy is phenomenal because he would get on those smart bar calls and he would ask a million questions and then he would say, yeah, I'm not quite sure, but I'm just going to go for it. And he would just go for things and he didn't know, he was like a 50-50 shot, but he knew that there's only two kinds of outcomes. He's either going to have a good outcome or he's going to have a learning outcome, and then he's going to take that learning and he's going to optimize it. And consequently, he got to his goals so much faster than most people do.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's there's a key word in there too, that's called heuristics, where, you don't have all hard data for everything. You can't, it's heuristics is sort of having a little bit of enough information to then go with your gut. And then, I'm going to try this. Yeah, you got to get to a point where you've got that confidence. Now, hey, I understand if you're just starting out, you've been struggling financially and you don't have much in the tank financially, and you want to start this business up, there's a lot of fear because, you can't afford to, throw out a few $1,000s and have it not come back. And that's a real possibility that can happen, and so being able to, overcome those fear and believe that, I remember when I first started flipping houses and I had money, but I didn't want to commit to the level of marketing that a lot of wholesalers spend. I didn't want to commit to that consistently. I didn't have the confidence at the time either in, and I think really it came back, I didn't have the confidence in myself yet. I thought I'd piss a lot of money away before anything came back. So I opted to buy from wholesalers and do fix and flips, which, it worked, but certainly would have been better had I been doing my own marketing.
Yeah.
But I just didn't have that confidence, and I had money at the time. I had some money in the tank. But I absolutely can understand how somebody is fearful, not having really that mindset to believe in themselves.
Tony Robbins, if you really dig down into what he teaches, it's all about belief. And our beliefs are defined in us to a large extent when we're very, very young. And in the experience we have as children, watching our parents, the kind of life that we lived. You and I recently did one of the courses with him, and there was something that he said in there that has stuck in me. It's like it's embedded in my brain housing group now, and I can't get it out. He said, if you see yourself, he said, think of it in terms of temperature. If you see yourself as a 68-degree person, and something happens in your life and you drop down to 38 degrees, you are going to get really uncomfortable and upset. And it's going to generate this energy in you, and you are going to correct. It's just going to happen. And then you get up to 68 degrees and then you start feeling good again. But then maybe that success carries you further. Maybe you get up to 75 degrees, 80, 90 degrees. And then all of a sudden it's the same thing. That's not equilibrium for you because in your belief system, you're a 68-degree person. And so then you kind of stop, you take your foot off the gas and you just kind of hang out for a while and you don't work very hard. And all of a sudden everything slips back because your belief determines that level. Whether you're below it or above it, you change in order to get back to where that belief is.
Yeah,
And the
it's
only way to fix it is to change the belief.
I love that because and I can I absolutely love that. I remember that, and it I think is why so many of us, even though as entrepreneurs already, there's still we always are growing, right? I mean, there's a difference between you and I and Elon Musk. Well, what's the difference? You know, um, and a lot of it is mindset. It's like, yeah, it's and a mindset around how many digits do you want? You know, like I can get up making, a couple of hundred, $300,000 and okay, I'm in equilibrium, but it's like, why the hell not go for seven figures? It's possible. It's doable.
Absolutely. I when I got out of graduate school, I started working at Lucent Technologies and I hooked up with these two amazing entrepreneurs within the company. And we created a new business. They just basically, because they liked me, let me join in, I guess. I was not the smart one out of the bunch. And we basically invented the industry more of voice over IP, voice over the internet. There were some applications that were already doing it, but we actually took it and built the infrastructure that went into the network to make it a solution that now is ubiquitous. And so I remember when I got that job, before that I was a Marine, so I never really made any money. And then I got that job and I was making really good money. And within this was Lucent. I mean, Lucent in 1996 was still like this monopoly mentality company. And so within like a month or two of getting there, they said, oh, we don't think our salaries are in keeping with the industry. So they increased my salary by $20,000, which was, I didn't even ask for it. It was amazing. So now I'm making all of this money, and by company, title, and income, I was a massive success in the eyes of my parents, and that was really important to me. But both of these guys were super entrepreneurs, and within a year, they had both left the company to go start their own entrepreneurial ventures. And actually, they wanted us to all leave as a group and go start a voice over IP business. And had I did this, I probably would, be lying on a beach someplace. I couldn't do it. I couldn't leave at that time and take the risk because everything about me was 68 degrees. Everything about me was success. And if I left there, I was putting all of that at risk, for either it could have been a big payday or a very bad payday. And I just couldn't do it. And it was just because of who I was from the time I was a child. And it's taken me that long to overcome it. And I'm not sure I have fully overcome it, but so the belief is everything. So I don't want to belabor the point, but we talked about qualities of that we see in the entrepreneurs. So let's just review them a little bit because you mentioned most of them. So the first one is entrepreneurs have a tremendous risk tolerance, and probably because to them it doesn't really feel like risk. Second is they have a vision. They know what they're doing. They know where they're going. They break that down into very specific goals, both short-term and long-term. The thing about the entrepreneurs is they're not winging it. They do business plans. They do say, okay, this year, this is what I'm going to accomplish. And then they go and they execute against it. Three is tremendously creative. They just see opportunities that other people don't see. And sometimes those opportunities are for businesses themselves. I heard this great thing that says, if you want to figure out what a great opportunity is, figure out what makes people cry. That's really good. I get that. But even within a business, if the economic environment changes a little bit, you got to get creative. You got to figure out a new way to approach the marketplace. Resilience. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, and you have to have the fight in you to generate the energy that says, all right, I'm going to come at this a different way, or I'm going to pivot my business model, or whatever it's going to be, but I'm not going to give up. Adaptability to changing circumstances. Networking skills is huge. I've never met a successful entrepreneur that was not an absolutely phenomenal networker. And that's the power of masterminds like the Smart Bar, is it gets you the opportunity to meet with other people. And I'm going to give a shameless plug for the Smart Bar. One of the things that I think that makes the Smart Bar so amazing is that we've got 7-figure investors in there, and we've got our students in there who haven't even done a deal yet. And everybody's welcome, everybody's equal, everybody gets an opportunity to ask questions. We make sure that, whether we're talking about syndication or whether we're talking about how to get the mail out the door, everybody has that opportunity, and the relationships get built. And there have been some tremendous syndicates that have been born through the relationships that were built out of the Smart Bar. People making millions of dollars a year now. Yeah. So this networking, it's one, you can develop your networking skills, but you'll also have to be able to find the place where you're going to meet the people that you want to network with, the right people. And I will shamelessly say Smart Bar is one of those places.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, by the way, people, you can, if you want to just check out the Smart Bar, another little plug, in the show notes is a link, and it's honorary. You can come one time, check it out for free. And then it's a subscription based, unless you're a student. Annually, it's very, very affordable. But hey, come check it out. Come join us one week. It's Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Happy hour with your land investing buddies.
Exactly.
All right. And then the last one, finally, quality wise, focus. You cannot be, and this was another part of my problem is, I finally figured out that I had ADD late in life. I wish I knew that earlier. There was one point where I decided I was going to get some medication for it, I did it for like a month. It was worthless. It was actually just understanding what I had that solved the problem. Because once I understood it, then I said, look, I don't care what happens. I'm not going to, no matter what the pull is to the next shiny object, I am not going to do it. I'm going to stick with this until I succeed or fail or whatever, but I'm not giving up on it. So focus is really important.
The most overdiagnosed disease to make big pharma rich is ADD.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh my God, another rabbit hole. But yeah, focus. Hey, shiny object syndrome. We all go through it, especially when we're looking at new stuff. I remember when I first got into real estate and I took some of the Rich Dad courses for houses and whatnot, and say, okay, should I wholesale? Should I fix and flip? Should I buy and hold? Should I do lease options? And all that different stuff. And it's really easy to get shiny object. And then, this dude's advertising his new software that does it all for you. And, you're all over the place. And, the word focus, if you spell it out, there's focus, one course until successful. That's something that's learned the hard way, even from seasoned entrepreneurs. There's stuff that, shiny objects that gets my attention still. But, if we don't focus and stay consistent on something and get really excellent at one course, then, we're not going to be successful at the next thing either. So, and I think that's a natural thing too. If you new and maybe haven't had success yet, you might start thinking, oh, do I enjoy this? Or am I going to really do this? Oh, maybe network marketing looks better. Let's try that.
You're right.
Anyway. So,
all right.
Cool, man. Great topic. I hope everybody got some, good nuggets out of this, and focus, baby.
And come join us on the mastermind. And if you want to talk about how to jumpstart your career as a land investor, give us a call. Let's chat about it. No pressure, but we're ready for you when you're ready.
All right. Adios, my brother.
All right, buddy. See ya. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Had a bit of fun. and walked away with some actionable insights that you can apply to your business. Dave and I have got some great content and interviews planned, so don't forget to rate and review, and of course subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. If we mention any interesting links or tools, you'll find them in the show notes. To learn more about Land.MBA, visit our website at, wait for it, Land.MBA. See you next time on the Land.MBA podcast.